Good evening, everybody. This is Beyond the Buzzer, and we're live here on I-95, Zingo Television, Facebook Live, and anywhere you hear the sound of my voice. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, checking in tonight on this lovely, wonderful Monday night. And Kyle, I think it's November 23rd,
That's correct.
2020. And for those who've never watched this show, shame on you because we've been doing this for over a year now.
Get a hold of your
Okay.
life, people.
Yes. All right. We've had more episodes than the Cleveland Browns have won games in the last 10 years. So I know that you should be able to watch this show.
Coming out swinging, Danny Thompson. We aren't even talking MVP, and you're bringing thunder. I respect this. I respect
And
this.
I can't do the show alone every single week. I mean, besides the lovely people in the chat, my main man, Bobby Blackjack of New Jersey, but the other guy of the show is the man to the right of me, my tag team partner. Basically, if I'm macaroni, he's the cheese. My main man, the student of the game, Mr. Kyle Nash. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, I love that. I definitely got the damn jokes to match. I respected every minute of it, and I got no problem with it. Hey, listen, man, good to be aboard one more time. And listen, I'm just going to get out the way early because it's something I would ask of any person I was close to. First of all, congratulations. We saw a picture on Facebook. I couldn't make it out because it was so bright in the middle with something very shiny. And it said something about an engagement, and I thought a Star Trek starship was going into warp or something because of the shine. And I was, oh, that's a ring. So congratulations, Danny Thompson. But my
Oh,
question to you, sir, is even while she had the rock in hand and your Falcons were getting decimated by Taysom Hill, was she still talking that cash trash during that weekend?
so you know what? That, you're gonna have me curse on national on this airwave, Kyle.
I gotta
Damn
make
it,
some
Kyle.
There you go. You went South Park. Damn it, Cam.
Damn it, Kyle. Basically, before I get into this entire story of what happened. So,
Yeah.
big shout out to our good friends. good, hey, baby. so,
Oh,
so for those who don't, like I said, big shout out to our good friends at Valor, which is VALR.us. Big shouts to those guys over there. If you have anything for your marketing needs, please check them out. Also, our good friends at Mentality Barbershop, 2611 Pine Hills Road in Orlando, Florida, to get the freshest, cleanest cut in Central Florida. So, to answer the question, yes, I got engaged on Saturday. Now, mind you, this
well,
was
congratulations. The question, sure, but okay. Okay. This is why I'm asking. I wanted to know if the ring was enough to distract you from talking that cash trash. If it wasn't, respect. You know,
so. Yes, over the weekend I got engaged to my now lovely fiance. You've seen her on the show
I mean, she
many
was
of
lovely
times.
before too, but now she's got a pretty piece of jewelry too. That's all.
Yeah, she has a ring, and if I hear one joke that she has one more ring than the Falcons, because I see my two favorite Carolina Panther fans in the room,
Don't put
the
that
whole
on me. Don't put
two
that
thirds,
evil on me, Danny
two
Bobby.
thirds. No, I was saying 2/3 of the under construction crew, my main man Jamal Darby and Rodney Richardson. Before I get one, she's got more rings than the Falcon jokes. I just want to kill that right now.
Controlling the
Appreciate it.
narrative. Boom.
Appreciate it, my man Daniel. Like I said, appreciate Jamal. Check out Jamal Rodney's show, Under Construction, Sundays
Yes.
after every single Panther game. Outstanding show, and they also have a hotline as well too. So for Panther fans or Panther Anonymous fans, or you just looking to troll like I'm going to after this show, I'm going to call in and they'll play your stuff in the air. So back to the engagement. So it was a whirlwind weekend. My fiance lives in Virginia, so it's about a 5 hour drive. I also want to thank my new now my new family. They've been my family since day one, but all of Precious family. Between her cousins Tiffany and Tia, they helped me plan this entire wonderful trip. That long story short, Kyle, that it turned disastrous, but it came together beautifully. In a span of 12 hours, I had to deal with the fact I was late to get my hair cut on Saturday. I
Mm,
got stuck. I got stuck in a traffic jam that shut down 85 in Burlington for over 2 hours.
God.
All right. I was 2 hours late getting to Virginia. I didn't have a hotel in time. So I had to basically get myself together. We had a whole Zoom room set up that failed at the time that it was supposed to open. Zoom failed on me for about the first 9 minutes. All right. So first 6 minutes actually, before I had got the room open.
Hey, hey. That's all I'll
They
say.
did.
Hey.
So then, for those who don't know, my personal note for me, I had hip replacement surgery the year of the Colin Kaepernick Super Bowl. The year the Falcons blew the NFC Championship game against your 49ers, Kyle.
Hey, listen, Bowman made a great catch, bro, on that interception. That's all I'm saying.
So for those who had hip replacement surgery, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get up and down.
No.
So if it wasn't for the table, now mind you, Kyle, we're both pretty big guys. I'm not going to say, So getting on one knee was already one thing. Getting on one knee with a bad hip was two things. If I would have leaned over an additional 45 seconds, they would have had to harpoon my ass off the ground because it would have been.
Do you have like a hydraulic lift? Beep, beep.
No.
I mean, when I need that too with my arthritis.
Listen, they would have had to harpoon my ass off the ground because it'd be like man down, whale down, and been both of those at the same time. But ironically, for all the beautiful parts, like the crazy parts that happened, every one of her friends, and my family and my friends that were there, it was a beautiful moment in time. And like Precious on the chat, it was perfect. And it didn't look perfect on the outside, but it was perfect on the inside, Kyle. Rodney,
I'll let him have that one, man. It's all right.
The only thing smoking is Carolina's race to Trevor Lawrence right now. All right, so
I like that. Okay.
So yes, I spent my weekend getting engaged, and now we're just in the process of planning a wedding. A global pandemic. The Falcons losing to a guy who was considered a tight end in ESPN fantasy football last week. The NBA offseason. So it's like I said, it's a beautiful weekend. Like I said, I have a beautiful fiance, and I cannot wait. Yes, as she puts down there, 2 hearts, 1 Thompson. Yes,
nice.
I can't.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Rodney. Hey, Rodney, if I get you the hat, will you sing it at the wedding? That's all I'm asking.
If you want, I will.
Rodney can be Oha. I can definitely do
it. If I do it,
Kyle, I'm gonna get you one of those. What the King Joffrey Joker had the lion on his shoulder.
Okay, it's on. Let's do it.
Because all you have to do is find the Detroit Lions fan that just skin their pelt because they're terrible all season. All right. Speaking of things that happened over the weekend, it was last week. Besides the fact that I got engaged, the NBA had taken a complete turn. It's the off season, but this is like an off season like no others. Off seasons where in a 17-day period, you had the NBA draft, all of the off season, and training camp in a 17-day period. It started on Wednesday with the draft, with the number 1 overall pick of Anthony Edwards going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. James Wiseman was 2nd overall to the Golden State Warriors. The Charlotte Hornets draft LaMelo Ball. Patrick Williams from the city of Charlotte, 704, West Charlotte High School, went to the Chicago Bulls, and the 5th overall pick of the draft, Isaac Okoro, went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, I'm not about to spend an X amount of time going over the NBA draft. I did a whole entire Haps episode about it. Check it out on my personal page or Beyond the Buzzer page. I did completely all that. Don't worry. I went over the entire draft. But 2 days later was the NBA offseason. And Kyle, NBA teams had money like they just got stimulus checks. All right, they spent money like they just got a corporate stimulus check. In the first 12 hours of free agency, Kyle, by the time free agency started at 6 p.m. until the time you woke up, probably around 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, the NBA had the NBA players, owners, and players dished out. Sorry, the owners dished out almost $900 million. Kyle, $900 million.
I'm going to get the bite. See, you could have set me up, but you let me hang and I'm going to get the bite. We're going to do this again, damn it.
They spent $900 million. Yes, thank you. No, Dr. Evil. They did that 900 plus times. $900 million was spent literally the first 15 hours of free agency, and that wasn't the start of it, ladies and gentlemen. We had in the start of free agency since Friday. Let's go over everything. We had the 6th man of the year take a mid-level contract, which is probably $10 million under we could have gotten. We've seen backups make more money. We watched Gordon Hayward opt out of a $34.5 million contract only to get $120 million from the Charlotte Hornets. We watched the Milwaukee Bucks acquire Drew Holiday and turn around and almost got hit with tampering charges on Bojan Bogdanovic because they talked to him 4 days too early and he didn't agree to a contract. Oh, hashtag tampering. We watched the Portland Trailblazers. Let's start winners losers. Let's start with yes, exactly. Let's start with teams that have won so far in the offseason. Hey, listen. The Portland Trailblazers is a team that won to me so far in the offseason, Kyle. And here's what they did. They re-signed Carmelo Anthony, which is one thing, okay? Mm-hmm. Hassan Whiteside's gone, but guess what? They brought back Enes Kanter, a guy that was loved in Portland and did an outstanding job when Nurkic was hurt the year that he got hurt in the playoffs, okay? But they also traded for Robert Covington, a wing that can guard threes and the fours and also can shoot the basketball, something the Blazers didn't have, a guy who could actually defend.
They brought back the thought, right?
Yeah, perish the thought. They also got Rodney Hood re-signed, and guess what? The Blazers are deep again. Another team that won in the offseason, guess what? I don't want to say this, but the Philadelphia 76ers actually retooled their entire roster. A team that couldn't hit the broadside of a barn last year went out and they got Seth Curry from Dallas. They acquired Danny Green and somehow shipped off Al Horford's insanely bad contract all at the same time. They drafted 2 shooters in the NBA draft with Tyrese Maxey and the kid, and I think Terry from Stanford. They drafted shooters everywhere. Then, knowing that Joel Embiid will not play all 72 games because he gets hurt consistently, they went and got. Well, he also stays hurt anyway. I don't think Embiid's played more than 70 games in his career. They wouldn't sign Dwight Howard from the LA Lakers over a bad tweet. Howard now goes in, becomes a backup, and will get playing time behind Doc Rivers. The Sixers have transformed their entire roster.
Although I would argue Danny Green. No, I'm just joking.
Listen. Even though Danny Green missed the most wide open shot in the history of the NBA in the finals with a game on the line, it gets no worse than being that wide open. But what he did was he was able to get Daryl Morey was able to get rid of Al Horford's albatross of a contract.
Yeah.
Once again, telling you that in the NBA, no matter how bad your contract is, it can be moved.
and listen, I make jokes, but as far as shooting talent does go overall, Danny Green is an upgrade. I get it.
Yes, anything's an upgrade over having Ben Simmons attempt to shoot 3-pointers.
I mean, I wasn't going to name names, but yeah, you're right. Anyway.
The good news for Sixers fans is that they added enough shooting that you don't got to complain about Ben Simmons anymore taking 3-pointers. You got enough guys who can shoot the basketball right now. They readjust their roster, and Daryl Morey is a genius. Teams that also won in the offseason, hey, listen, the Boston Celtics might have lost, Enes Kanter in the offseason. They might have lost Gordon Hayward, but they added Tristan Thompson for a very, very cheap deal. A guy who's in the top 3, Kyle, in the last 3 seasons in rebounding percentage. That means, Kyle, when he's on the floor, and you're a numbers guy, he gets over 30% of the rebounds when he's on the court.
That's insane.
Kyle, he also grabs over 20% of he averaged 5 offensive rebounds a game over the last couple of years. He averages, I think, Kyle, 20% of the offensive rebounds when he's on the court. And when you have guys like Jason Tatum, who just got the max deal, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, you have guys who can score the basketball. A guy that goes and grabs rebounds, sets screens, and is really a good teammate is extremely valuable. It's extremely, extremely valuable. The Miami Heat, they went out and got 2 veterans to help out. They went out and got Avery Bradley from the LA Lakers, a guy that's going to play backup point guard and also provide the depth they need just in case Gordon Dragic goes down or Jimmy Butler needs nights off. They have a backup guy, especially a veteran defensive player. Well, Ben Simmons' sister mentioned trade rumors. Listen, if he's not going for Russell Westbrook, I ain't trying to hear it. All right. Speaking of teams that sounds like me on the court. Stop it, Portland. Okay. As I was saying, big shouts to Cortland. I love Cortland. That's my dude. Everyone, of course, always. But no, when you look at teams around the NBA, teams that also won the offseason, okay, if the Houston Rockets do not trade Russell Westbrook and James Harden, Kyle, the Rockets might be an offseason winner. Let me tell you why. They got Christian Wood from the Detroit Pistons, 3 years, $41 million, a highly sought-after big man free agent. Because the loser team that he came from, I'll explain in a second. They went and also got DeMarcus Cousins today,
Hmm.
who is the biggest boom or bust potential of any player in the free agency class. He worked out for the Rockets, and they said his workout was phenomenal, and he is superly motivated. Listen, DeMarcus Cousins has missed the last 2+ seasons due to injuries. He was playing with the Lakers, got hurt, went to Golden State, got hurt in the finals, the playoffs, and he was never the same. He hadn't been the same player since Torres Achilles in New Orleans. All right. If Cousins is healthy, I don't know if he'll ever be that player again. He's still a solid 16 points, 9 rebounds a game, can shoot the basketball, and can rebound. The Rockets didn't have any sort of an interior presence last season. So if they actually a new head coach, it is what it is. You're right. He might be done, but guess what? It's a small contract. If he hits a home run for the Rockets and stays semi-healthy, it's a different story. I mean, the Rockets are a completely different team.
Yeah, maybe it's not a perfect analogy, but when you said that, again, it's not to scale, but when you said that, I had kind of a Shane Battier for that Heat team with the big three kind of vibe. He's not there to do the heavy lifting. He's there for a little bit of presence. I mean, certainly he's more talented than the Birdman from that squad. That's why I kind of go with Battier in my head. But it's that kind of a presence who can contribute in kind of a veteran fashion, but it's not expected to be the guy he was when he started, certainly.
I mean, he's not going to be the all-star DeMarcus Cousins that was about to get a max deal from New Orleans. We all know that. Right. But if he's semi-healthy, and think about this, in a league where the team that's the biggest loser, the Detroit Pistons, Christian Wood came from the Detroit Pistons, and the Detroit Pistons said, you know what, let's upgrade the center. Let's decide to spend all our money in the offseason on upgrading with mediocre to bad talent. Okay. All right. It felt like the Detroit Pistons were signing nothing but Nathan Petermans everywhere over the last couple of days. So here's what they done. All right. Last season they had Christian Wood, Blake Griffin, and Andre Drummond right before the deadline. You had solid 3 rotation. Okay. Drummond's now in Cleveland. Christian Wood left as a free agent. So what do you do if you're Detroit? Instead of potentially going after a guy like Hassan Whiteside that can rebound, block shots, and also irritate you is when he plays half the time of the season, no. The Pistons decide, let's go out and go get every single big man we can find and trade every guard on the roster. In the last week, Troy Weaver, new GM, came from Oklahoma City, has traded all his guards with the exception of Derrick Rose and the new pick Killian Hayes away in the last week. Bruce Brown was traded for 6'9" Diamond Musa from Brooklyn. They traded Tony Snell and somebody else, I forgot who it was, I think Kyrie Thomas to Chicago for Dwayne Dedmon, who's 6'9", 6'10", for those we played for the Magic a couple years ago, Kyle. They went out, they drafted Killian Hayes, but then they drafted Isaiah Stewart, a 6'9.5" undersized big from Washington, a 6'9" power forward in Sadiq Bey from Villanova. Then let's go start grabbing average to below average big men. They played Miles Plumlee $25 million from Denver, spent $60 million on Jeremy Grant, got Jahlil Okafor on a terrible contract, traded for Tony Bradley, all in the same week, and then decided, you know what, we're not done buying centers just yet.
See, when stuff like that happens, it's no surprise that they spent $900 million.
I don't know what the hell they were spending, but they're the ones that got the stimulus check all wrong. Okay. They're the ones who had 5 big screen TVs in the house, got their stimulus check and say, you know what, Kyle, let me go get a 6th one. Where you going to put it? I don't know. On the front lawn. Kyle, all the big men they got together still wouldn't average 10 points a game in the NBA.
That's the appropriate graphic. Get the ultimate guard to diss the center trades. I like it, Bobby Blackjack. Well done from the artillery one more time. Danny?
Look, listen, the Pistons might be the first team in NBA history outside the Nuggets in a game that didn't matter to start actually 5 guys over 6'9" and get away with it. And as much as I love Jeremy Grant, and Jeremy Grant had a great season in Denver, especially after the trade from Oklahoma City, Kyle, they gave him $60 million, Kyle. 3 years, $60 million to be an offensive focal point. Now, if you're a Knicks fan, you can say, guess what? We weren't the only team spending money on power forwards. Detroit did it. Detroit did it after we did. All right.
Right, exactly.
Other teams that have won the offseason, hey, the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are literally 24 hours away from officially probably winning the offseason. They went out and got Danilo Gallinari from the Oklahoma City Thunder, 3 years, $60 million. Then, after the whole Bojan Bogdanovic thing went completely south, and that the Bucks almost got hit with tampering charges pretty badly for this one, because they went in. Basically, what the Bucks did was the equivalent of getting the PlayStation 5 4 days before it hits national retail stores and showing it off. Hey, we got one from Walmart. How'd you get it? We got it from Walmart. But how'd you get it? We just got it from Walmart. Basically, what it was Bojan Bogdanovic was a restricted free agent, and he agreed to a contract with a team that he wasn't supposed to. It wasn't his own. They agreed to a deal. All they had to do, Kyle, was the Kings could have just signed him and said, we're going to trade him on Friday. No. The Bucks supposedly talked to this guy last week, got Giannis to sign off for it. The owners were like, what is going on here? No. We're not letting him go to the Bucks. No way. So the Bucks had to end up re-signing a whole bunch of guys, including DJ Augustine they got from the Orlando Magic, to fill the void of a guy like Bojan Bogdanovic. Remember, if you're a Bucks fan, December 21st is the most interesting day of the year. That's the last day Giannis can sign that extension before he hits free agency. If he don't sign it before the day the season starts, he can't sign it. He can't sign nothing until August.
You know, if he doesn't sign that, some people may opt to stop watching the season in Milwaukee starting the next day.
Listen, it would surprise me. The Bucks got this man. Listen, if the Bucks trade Giannis during the season because they were scared to lose him, I wouldn't be shocked. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of teams on timelines, the Golden State Warriors were on a timeline because Klay Thompson's out for the rest of the season. An Achilles injury, a knee injury cost him the entire season. It's another ACL injury on the right knee. He's out for the whole season. Well, the Suns went out. The Warriors went out and acquired Kelly Oubre from the Oklahoma City Thunder because the Thunder just had a swap meet on everybody on the roster. But the Thunder was just saying, if you just give us a draft pick, we'll take anything off your hands. Sell. We just want draft picks. Now Kelly Oubre is now an interesting fit with the Golden State Warriors because they have two small forwards in their starting lineup, and neither one of them are a threat from the outside.
It's different.
All right. Yes. What else is different is Montrezl Harrell signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. Kyle, here's why it's different. Montrezl Harrell won the Sixth Man of the Year award last year. We just watched Jeremy Grant get $20 million a season from the Detroit Pistons. Okay? We have watched Gordon Hayward get $120 million from the Charlotte Hornets. Jay Crowder got $30 million from the Phoenix Suns. Why does all that mean something? None of those guys won the Sixth Man of the Year, and none of them were a key cog on a team that could have won the championship. Montrezl Harrell signed a 2-year, $19 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, the Lakers got better. How, ladies and gentlemen? The one thing most people aren't talking about is the fact that Kyle, Montrezl Harrell's agent is Rich Paul.
That's
Rob Pelinka's he's not the general manager of the year. Yes, yes, they did. They donated him for Danny Green's contract, which in turn turned into Al Horford's contract. So yes, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Jamal's right, but no,
it's not even Black Friday yet. Let's at least get to Thanksgiving, damn it.
Montrezl Harrell's contract reminds me of something you find at the Goodwill at the 99-cent section. There's no way in hell that Montrezl Harrell should have got $9 million. And the sad part was Charlotte offered more money, way more money, than the Lakers did, but he turned it down.
I mean,
the Hornets end up turning that money into Gordon Hayward's contract, but that's another story for another day. Montrezl Harrell joins the Lakers team that in the offseason just landed Marc Gasol yesterday because somehow the New York Knicks decided, the Cleveland Cavaliers have said, you know what, we can't be the only team stockpiling bigs because the Pistons are doing it. The Cavs acquired JaVale McGee. They actually traded for JaVale McGee to go on a front line that has now Andre Drummond, JaVale McGee, Larry Nance Jr., and Kevin Love, and some big conundrum of big guys that I don't even know how that's going to work.
Like, did they not get the memo that it's a shooting league now? I don't get. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I had to say it. It was making my skin crawl.
The Cavs and Pistons are playing for draft picks here. I don't know. They're playing 2K here. All I'm saying is now that he's a trader. Listen, I'm not saying this. All I know is that the GM of the year is in LA, but it's actually Rich Paul because there's no way that Montrezl Harrell signs with the Lakers unless Rich Paul basically orchestrated it. The Lakers, Kyle, in the offseason have now went from having a bench to have Rajon Rondo, who's now in Atlanta, Dwight Howard, who's now in Philadelphia, JaVale McGee, who's now in Cleveland, and you added Montrezl Harrell, who's the sixth man of the year. You added Marc Gasol, who still actually is legitimately a good guy, and you got Dennis Schroeder on the bench, coming off the bench. The Lakers are even more loaded. Okay.
And the interesting, I said the trades you mentioned with Rondo and Howard. Not for nothing, those appear to be win-win style trades too. I don't know why that fascinates me with any sport when you get a trade that's win-win like that. I feel like both sides are getting stuff out of that deal. I mean, contracts.
We look at Atlanta with the fact that they got, like I said, I mentioned the fact that they got Gallinari, they got Bogdanovic on a sign and trade to the sign, and the one thing is the Kings have, I think, until tomorrow to match it. They also, Atlanta added Rajon Rondo for $15 million over 2 years. They added Chris Dunn to their roster. So what Atlanta did was they said, forget this. We're not worried about playing a playing game this year. We're going for the playoffs.
Yes.
Now, Kyle, here's the reason I think before we transition, the reason why everybody's going crazy on players this year. Kyle, the NBA is doing something different for the second consecutive year. Mm-hmm. Last year, we had bubble basketball, and bubble basketball birthed what was my favorite concept of the year, besides the fact of the whole idea of me getting married. Outside of me getting married this year, again, getting engaged, this was one of my most favorite things of 2020 was the NBA adopting the play-in game. The most exciting one-game situation that we've had in a long time. The Portland Trailblazers and Memphis Grizzlies gave it their all for 48 minutes for a chance at a playoff spot to get obliterated by the Los Angeles Lakers. That was what they played for. So the NBA said, you know what? We're going to make this even better and even bigger, and we're going to include the Eastern Conference this time. Because the East was so bad last year that the Wizards had to lose 2 games before they were fiscally eliminated because they were without Bradley Beal. So the NBA adopted, Kyle, not just the 8 and 9 seed in the playoff game, they also threw the 7th seed and the 10th team in the conference in this. Before you yell and say, why did they do this? The NBA well, Kyle, the NBA did this because last year the Phoenix Suns, Kyle, were a half game out of the wild card game because they didn't play enough games due to COVID last year.
Right.
Schedules were imbalanced. So the NBA is already putting a schedule in place to say, okay, you know what? We might not make all 72 games, and we can't penalize a team for not playing enough games because we couldn't reschedule them or COVID takes it away. It is what it is. This is what the year is going to look like. I don't know if the NBA is going to play 72 games because I don't know if everybody's going to hit the schedule. But the NBA did something Major League Baseball didn't do. The NBA watched Major League Baseball's Miami Marlins basically almost torpedo the season because they missed, 2 weeks worth of games because half the roster decided to go to a strip club, decided to go clubbing in Atlanta.
I hope they got some legs.
That's what it is. So the NBA created a contingency policy. So now, Kyle, the playing game is a little different this year. How it works is it's going to be 3 playing games per conference total. But let me explain how it works. So the 7th and 8th seed will play a play-in game against each other. The winner gets the 7th seed. The loser has to play another game for their playoff lives. The 9th and the 10th seed play each other. The winner of that game plays the loser of the 7th and 8th game. That winner will become the 8th seed in the playoffs. So now technically the 9th and 10th team in each conference has something to play for. Because now you're pushing because guess what, Kyle? If you get to be 9th or 10th, all you got to do is win 2 games and you're in the playoffs.
67% of your league will be, quote, in the tournament. That's absolutely ridiculous, Danny Thompson, and that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, listen, but it also tells you one thing. That means if you're the 7th seed, you're not putting on brakes saying we're going to make the playoffs. You're pushing to try to get the 6th seed because you don't want no part of potentially missing the playoffs.
I mean, listen, that's all great and that's all adorable. You and I both know that they did that in order to create better numbers on television for better revenue in
Hey,
the future. And I'm not hating
listen,
on that, but that doesn't
I'm
mean
not
I have
either.
to watch it.
But listen, but you know what, Kyle? You're actually going to watch it because guess what? It's a one and done situation.
You're going to watch it. Damn you, Cal.
Kyle, answer me this. Did you watch the Pelicans and Blazers in that playing game?
I actually did. You're right.
And you were pretty damn you were thoroughly entertained, weren't you?
I mean, I wasn't selling my children over it, but yeah, I had fun watching it, sure.
Kyle, as a person who's actually transitioned himself into be much more of a basketball guy, because you're more of a football guy.
Definitely.
Okay. We us. But more if you transition to basketball, you have to admit that was arguably one of the most entertaining games we had saw in the bubble up to that point. If not the most entertaining.
And in fairness, like, listen, I talk all the trash about the 67% of the teams in the playoffs. At day's end, what I really feel like it did more than anything else, Danny Thompson, is set the tone for the level of intensity that was played throughout the bubble, right? Unless you were a team such as the Brooklyn Nets, who was basically pointless anyway, or as you mentioned, the Wizards without Beal. I feel like every game kind of followed that in the level of intensity. So really, when people saw on TV that that game could be special in a bubble, it got everybody involved, and it led to a lot of other things that were successes and that helped make the bubble the event that it was. And I could even argue because that game kicked off the bubble to be that successful when the players the players opted to not play to make the social statement, that impact would not have been quite as great if that game didn't set the tone to make everything that much of an appeal for the fans. I'm with you on that part.
Well, I'll say this. In the Eastern Conference, it was a little bit different because if Bradley Beal would have been healthy, right, the Wizards would have forced the Magic to have a playing game. Right. It's just that simple. Now, Kyle, I'll tell you this. I know another sport that can actually benefit from a playing game, Kyle?
Don't you do it.
College football. And that's where we transition to next.
Football. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I sign off on that. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Because you know what though, the whole idea of college football expanding to a playoff is not really going to happen. But what happens, Kyle, if you give college football 2 playing games, and here's why I say this: the 2 playing games would be for the spots of 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Number 1 and number 2 shouldn't be touched. They earned it all year long. They earned it. But if you expand it to 6 teams and you have 2 playing games. So essentially saying you will have, because you can't do it NBA style. No. Because of the contact and the length of time, it is what it is. Right. But Kyle, if you do, what you would do is you have 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5.
So it would be assuming that Notre Dame loses the conference championship, it would be Notre Dame Cincy versus, let's say, an Alabama and Illinois.
Well, Alabama. Let's say Alabama and Ohio State are 1 and 2 when the season ends.
Okay, so it would be Clemson and somebody. Gotcha.
It'd be Clemson, Notre Dame on 2 opposite sides, and then you would automatically allow one of the non-power 5s in this as fairness, as long as they meet a criteria saying that either a team has got to have a power ranking or if it's undefeated, they either got to be undefeated or have to be in the top 10. It's got to be one or the other. To give the non-power 5 a chance, and Bob, we're transitioning to college football, to give a non-power 5 a chance at this.
Which technically Notre Dame is when they're not mercenaries that are making the ACC look bad.
No, I don't count Notre Dame as a non. Notre Dame is considered a power 5, a different type of independent power 5.
Yeah. That's a whole other philosophical conversation we can have. I feel you.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Because Notre Dame is an independent that's more dependent, that college football needs them as a dependent more than they're independent.
An independent that's more of a dependent. That's perfect, actually. Hey, listen, I know why you're arguing this. You want your Coastal Carolina Chanticleers to take a shot to sneak through.
You know what? I don't care if it's Coastal Carolina. I want to see Cincinnati punch somebody in the mouth, or punch a Power 5 team in the mouth in the bowl game.
I agree.
I want to see Luke Fickell's team, because guess what? They survived against UCF because that was a damn good game from what I saw on Saturday.
It really was.
Listen, Luke Fickell's team once again will punch any Power 5 team in the mouth. Bobby?
Let's book this now. Bowl season. Coastal Carolina plays Penn State. Because Penn State, there's no rules this year. Penn State at 0-5 can still make a bowl game because of the COVID. And you know they're going somewhere because of the following and the TV ratings. Coastal Carolina plays Penn State.
That doesn't. Okay, here's the thing. It doesn't do nothing for Coastal Carolina because Coastal Carolina is undefeated. Penn State, what's Penn State's record?
0-5.
That's disrespecting Coastal Carolina at this point.
I think Bobby, as much as I'm with you, Danny Thompson, does have a shred of a point. Because if the college playoff committee has proven one thing, they don't give a damn about the integrity of the sport.
But you already said, I think you mentioned Coastal Carolina is playing Liberty, right? They play each other?
Coastal Carolina does play Liberty final week of the season.
So that can't be a bowl game then.
No.
That's not necessarily true. It's possible, but they would lean away from it.
So my whole thing is, Penn State at 0-5 with this crazy year and there's no restrictions this year. They're going somewhere because of the TV ratings. Someone will pick them up at 0-5.
I hear what you're saying, and it's 2020, man. Anything's possible. But my faith in humanity prevents me from agreeing with you, Bobby Blackjack.
How about this? If we can't get if Coastal Carolina can't get in the Big Five, you think Coastal Carolina will play Texas A&M?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, a game like who was that a couple years ago? Wasn't that Boise played that one? They beat Oklahoma that 1 year that really turned them into irrelevant.
Yeah, but Oklahoma was like 10-1, 11-1 that year.
Correct.
You're talking about an 11-1 team, talking about an 0-5 Penn State team. If I'm Coastal Carolina and that offer came to the table, I will treat that offer the same way BYU treated Washington's offer over the weekend.
I see what
I'm throwing it out the window. Okay. In the wonderful world of college football this week, BYU, who has said they'll play anywhere, anytime, was offered a chance to play Washington. Okay. BYU's 9-0 at this point in the season, 8th in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But the rules had stated that the game would be in Washington with Pac-12 officials. And the game would have to be on Saturday. BYU said, "Go to hell."
Well, they may have been that terse in their response, but I think upon seeing that offer, our favorite Star Wars admiral got involved. Admiral Akbar said, "It's a trap," and they did not agree. I can't blame them.
No, Kyle. I'm not playing a team on the road in 6 days with bipartisan officials.
No, with partisan officials, sir.
I'm sorry, partisan officials. Excuse me.
Very much. Carry on.
There is no way if I'm BYU, I'm taking that. You're right. Captain Admiral said it's a trap.
Admiral Akbar is the dude. But hey, let me ask you this: as when we're talking about partisan stuff, how many times have you heard jokes about China as an NBA guy? There's some partisan stuff. I'm kidding. You said partisan. I'm making jokes. Anyway.
Listen, only you and Daryl Morey get along with that joke.
Hey, you tried to compare me to a bunch of Trump supporters you sided with Trump supporters on Facebook once inadvertently, and then I had to dunk on you.
No, I didn't. We're not doing this.
You eventually saw the error of your ways. That's true.
No, I blame Dabo Swinney for that comment. Okay.
Good call. I like it. Mike Norvell would not. I'm sorry. I've seen that man in person and spoken with him enough to go. You put some respect on that man's name, Dabo Swinney.
Hey. Listen, Dabo Swinney is okay. So let's talk Dabo Swinney. All right, listen. All right, Florida State and Clemson was postponed on Saturday. All right, it was because it was due to COVID. All right, it is what it is.
Contact tracing, et cetera, right before the game. All
yes, and Florida State's Mike Norvell basically was like, listen, that it's a university situation. The university made the right decision because looking after the student athletes. And Dabo Swinney said that Florida State wanted to duck them and use COVID as an excuse.
Sure.
All right, here's the thing. I don't know what games that Dabo Swinney has been watching this year, but I'm sure that 2-6 Florida State is not a team that's worth ducking at this point in the season. If Clemson would have called the game off, I can understand Florida State saying they're ducking them. Clemson gets nothing out of beating the brakes off Florida State because that's what most of the country has done to Florida State all season long anyway, with the exception of my Tar Heels. All I'm saying is I don't think they're ducking them. The only thing Florida State's been ducking is the fact that Clemson has had 37 positive COVID tests among their 120 players this season.
There you go.
All right, Kyle, let's do numbers here because you're a number guy. That's a fourth of the team that has contracted or had tracing of COVID.
If you're really wanting to catch hell with it, I would call it closer to like a 27%, right? So, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, no, I didn't like it. It's not like the University of South Florida that's actually in West Florida having fans on Facebook going, go ahead and cancel it and claim COVID because we don't want to get crushed. I've seen it happen, man. But that being said, Dabo Swinney, you're a championship caliber coach. You're above that. Listen, even Nick Saban, who's known to be catty at times, that's a trap. There you go, Bobby Blackjack. But even Nick Saban, who's known at times to be catty in his press conferences, when the LSU game was canceled similarly, he was up front. Listen, we probably knew that some games were not going to make it onto the schedule with what was going on, and we want to play, but safety first. Then here's Dabo Swinney. Where they're ducking us! Ah! You know, the only one who's allowed to say where they're ducking us is me talking trash on North Carolina.
North Carolina duck UCF. All right. Here's the thing.
That's always been a joke for the record. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, though, we're asking college coaches to be doctors. And I'll be honest with you, if Florida State worry about their student athletes, that's something that should be applauded, not thrown down this drain. Listen, yes, you know, I was in a press today with Georgia State, for basketball season. Their head coach had mentioned today that, you know, that actually kids playing sports is good for their mental health because, of course, you know, it's a pandemic. You know, sports gets stuff off these kids' minds with everything going on. You know, and I get that part, but the part I don't get is if you're worried that a player has contact tracing or a player might have COVID and could potentially risk other players getting hurt or getting involved in this, then yeah, I would do the same thing that Mike Novell would say. Listen, I don't want my kids on the field with this going on. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a Reddit that came out that they're saying that the Clemson player had tested. It was a false positive on Sunday or Monday. The kid had tested negative throughout the week and was quarantined at the back of the plane or the bus that they drove down to, or they got down to Florida State in. First and foremost, if the kid tested negative, why is he still with the team anyway? Why is he sitting in the? Was he that crucial to be with the team? Like, I'm sorry. What? Like, no, it's an unsafe situation. Mike Novell said, guess what? Listen, there's no way, because Clemson offered to retest players and staff and delay the game by a day or two. It ain't worth it. Florida State's 2-6. What's it going to do?
Well, even in Clemson's case, what is it going to do to even bolster their case? Listen, at the end of the day, if they take care of business like they probably will in their conference, they'll get to the conference championship for the rematch with Notre Dame. If they win that, none of this really matters. I mean, am I wrong? You know,
and the thing is, you know, John Swofford, the ACC commissioner, has said that when the season started, that the league protocol specifically stated that the decision was on the medical advisors of both schools. If they can't come to agreement, the game cannot be played.
And that's exactly what happened. They did not come to an agreement.
And guess what? They couldn't. And Florida State was like, we didn't feel the game was safe. And guess what? It is what it is. It's COVID. We've seen enough cancellations.
Welcome to 2020.
Yes, speaking of college football game, because guess what? There were games canceled all week, and we hear uproar about this. We had games canceled. We've had schools have games canceled all season long. Was it Wisconsin miss almost a month of football because they're both their quarterbacks caught COVID?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, hell, you know, I think it was it this past week where there were 8 canceled games or something silly like that, right?
Like, listen, the ACC's complaining, but you hear the SEC coaches complaining?
Oh, well, I literally quoted Nick Saban, so there you go.
Well, I'm saying, but think about this. They had multiple games among multiple teams in the conference, Kyle. It wasn't just the one Alabama game. It was multiple teams in the conference. And we didn't hear a complete uproar of everybody talking about everybody's ducking each other. No.
Again, a catty guy in Nick Saban, he didn't uproar. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, Kyle, here's the thing. It'd be different if like Florida State was like undefeated or like had one loss, and Clemson's strength of schedule was going to be enhanced and improved by winning this game. Beating Florida State wasn't going to have you jump ahead of Ohio State in the standings last week, in the rankings last week. All right.
Even still, in that example, Danny Thompson, what I would do is set up a situation where you play to the end to see if the game is relevant, and then if they need that game for a playoff to decide something, then they can do it. Maybe they have to push back their conference championship, but at the end of the day, that's the answer, even if it did matter, which, as you said, it didn't. There you go.
And Kyle, you just mentioned the fact that the game was relevant. When's the last time Florida State ever been relevant?
Well, I thought we had left the basketball segment, but now Danny Thompson apparently is still dunking. Carry on.
I'm just saying. It's just pure relevancy. We talk about Florida State being relevant. They've been relevant. The only thing Florida State's been relevant as has been getting rid of head coaches and paying them money on the way out the door.
Now you're just being salty, Danny Thompson. We need to move to the next topic.
Listen. All right. I've had a beautiful weekend, but I had to watch Taysom Hill and the Falcons dismantle the Falcons. So damn it, I will be salty. All right.
The entire ocean of salt, baby. You are a walking sea salt mine.
Listen. I'm wearing red because red's the color of love. I'm in love this weekend, and I'm also loving the fact I'm going to dunk on every single team that is not my Atlanta Falcons because I'm going to destroy them in a minute too. Don't worry.
I thought this time you were like being Black Andy Reid with that red shirt so you could support Patrick Mahomes as MVP.
Oh, I'm going to do that as well too. Don't worry. Speaking of teams in red this weekend, the Ohio State Buckeyes, listen, they passed their biggest test of the season, 42-35 over ninth-ranked Indiana. That's weird just saying ninth-ranked Indiana in football.
I know, right?
Weird.
Crazy.
It's weird. Listen, this was the game Ohio State needed to prove that they're actually a real football team. And why I say a real football team because, I say a real football team because they've been beating up the entire Big Ten since the season started. Okay, Ohio State survived Indiana coming back in the fourth quarter. Phoenix Jr., the quarterback from Indiana, was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Kyle, 27-51, 491 yards, 5 touchdowns. He outplayed Heisman candidate Justin Fields, because I've heard a lot about Justin Fields being the best quarterback in college football.
Oh, come on. Anyways, I know it wasn't you that said it, but whoever said, come on. Anyways, continue.
Justin Fields was 18-30 for 300 yards. Kyle, he threw 3 interceptions in the game. All right? He threw not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions and almost allowed Indiana to get back in this game with interceptions. Kyle, up into that game, he had 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He had 3 in one game. Sounds familiar?
Not really. What are you trying to get at?
Sounds like another mobile quarterback in another sport that those 3 interceptions in the game and almost cost his team a victory.
I think you're pretty harsh on Lamar Jackson in that.
Other games in college football, talking about games that were tough. Listen to this. UCF and Cincinnati. The one game that you had mentioned all season, and I don't know. Now they rescheduled the Tulsa game and moved it up a week early. How important it was for Cincinnati, but listen, to me, I've said UCF is Cincinnati's toughest match all season. You're saying it's Tulsa. UCF gave everything they had on that field on Saturday. Can we talk about it?
I agreed with you that Cincinnati game would be the toughest matchup. The Tulsa thing surprised me. I picked the UCF Knights to lose 2 games this year, and they achieved that before they got to Cincy, so they were already in big trouble from where I sat. But you're right. That team is man. Listen, they're stout up front. No, both teams had a game where if they had tied and gone into overtime, you can make the argument that neither deserved to lose. But at the end of the day, there were just singular moments by both teams that could have decided the game in and of themselves, man. It was excellent football, and they competed. And to Luke Fickell's credit, they asked him if he has a statement on or to the playoff committee about letting them in at 4th, and his response was, I think we just made it. If that doesn't show respect from Fickell toward Josh Heupel and the UCF Knights, I don't know what does.
Kyle, let me ask you this. Now, UCF has had an up and down season. You cover them for the 3-point conversion. Check out all Kyle's work with UCF on the 3-point conversion. Kyle, was this honestly one of UCF's best games all around all season, even though it's a loss.
Yeah,
was
man.
this a game you'd be proud of to say that, listen, if they lost like this?
If I was watching this game as a fan, which I was not because I was covering it, I would say precisely that. Listen, man, like there's a lot of people in the UCF fan base that are just talking straight ignorant on a regular basis that Josh Heupel should be fired. The guy's 27-6 in 2 seasons. Don't look at me. I'm the messenger. Do not kick me down the pit and say this is Sparta. I am just the messenger. But there are people that stupid in the fan base. And even people who cover the Knights as alleged journalists that think that Heupel should be fired. Or Randy Shannon, the defensive coordinator, moreover. I think in a lot of cases it has to do with his $1 million a year contract as a coordinator, but I digress. The punchline is this, my friends. Everyone seems to forget that the UCF Knights had 10 opt-outs before the season, among the most in the country. 2 of them were defensive starters. One of them was the backup quarterback, DJ Mack, who's now transferred. Then on top of that, they had the incident a number of weeks back where 3 starters were kicked off the team doing an off-the-field incident surrounding a traffic stop. You therefore have lost 5 starters throughout the season, and the defensive numbers and performance have improved, starting with and since the Houston game, which, by the way, that Houston game that I mentioned, Danny Thompson, was the very first game after the incident that got those 3 starters removed, and the defense got better. UCF has scored more points on the Cincinnati Bearcats than literally anybody else on the Bearcats roster. If Richie Grant doesn't drop the interception, the game is tied at regulation. If Dylan Gabriel doesn't throw the ball to right and hit Marlon Williams in the hands that goes through them right to Cincinnati, that could have turned into a touchdown and completely changed the outcome of the fourth quarter. And I'm not here to play what ifs as to say UCF should have won. Hardly. What I'm trying to demonstrate is how close the game was. Listen, Cincinnati came out and really flat. They had 2 muffed punts, one of them that was turned over for points. And I can make a strong argument that UCF recovered the second one. It was a really close play. But at the end of the day, Cincinnati had 3 false starts in the first 3 offensive drives for UCF, in their first 3 offensive drives, whereas UCF's offense was having problems with offensive penalties with a freshman center, and now they're altering the snap count to throw a 7th-ranked team in the nation off kilter. But, the coach needs to be fired because, he showed no growth and improvement in the team. GTFO.
Now, Kyle, here's a question.
Sure.
UCF has one of the loudest stadiums in the country. I think that's that, and of course it's underrated because, of course, it's UCF. Kyle, if the bounce house would have been bouncing when it was 14-3 in the first quarter, would that have been a difference? Would that have been a huge difference this game?
I mean, you saw it 2 years ago when College Game Day came here and Cincinnati was the opponent then. The Knights came out their first drive and had a big trouble. I think they may even have turned the ball over with Cortez Broughton on the edge, causing big problems until he got hurt, his ankle hurt in the game, I believe. And then from that point on, UCF got a build up with Mackenzie Milton, got a couple of scores, and that place was shaking so much that to this day, Danny Thompson, Kirk Herbstreit is still talking about it.
One of the things about that makes UCF even more special inside of that stadium is the crowd is insane. Like, we both have covered games there before, and you mentioned you were there for College Game Day when the building was shaking. To me, the loudest I've ever heard it was the AAF championship game against Memphis. Like, and even the USF game the week before, the Black Friday game.
Those 2, but like, this game appearance bigger than that.
Now, mind you, I was not there for the game day game. I wasn't there because I covered.
You weren't. Yeah.
And the crazy part was, it was the same day the Lakers were in town playing the Magic.
Right.
So imagine if you had the fans that were at the Lakers game watching LeBron James' his first game as Laker at that stadium, because you couldn't do both because the game. They moved the game from 3:30 to 7:30, which was that game should have been a 12 o'clock game, to be honest with you. I could have covered both. It should have been a 12 o'clock game. But
I would have liked for you to do so, but I still feel like that stadium was at capacity that night regardless.
It was. It was completely sold out. The game was sold out. What I'm saying is, like I said, I cannot speak for that game and game day now. I've heard the stadium, like I said, I've heard the stories like you've just told one. It was phenomenal. But I know I was there for the wildest game I've ever seen live, the USF game. That was back and forth into a kickoff return at the end of the game. And I was there for the AAF championship game, even though it was Scott Frost's last game inside that stadium. And it was wild up until Scott Frost was officially announced as the Nebraska head coach in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the news broke on social media right after halftime or something like that.
It was the fourth quarter. They had just went to the fourth quarter. The place was loud. UCF was about to finish off Memphis. Then the word got around that because you can remember, Kyle, the stadium went flat for about a good 6 minutes, and Memphis got back in the game.
That's true.
So, to your point, Kyle, Cincinnati gave UCF everything they had, and UCF gave Cincinnati everything they had, threw every punch at him. But Kyle, one guy who didn't talk about the Heisman race? Desmond Ridder of Cincinnati.
Desmond Ridder is all before this Monday was already a multi-conference offensive player of the week winner, and he won it yet again on the strength of that victory over UCF. And people may not have heard him, but this is a guy who is a versatile quarterback. I hope he gets a shot at the Shrine game like that, something like that, if they play it, to demonstrate his skills.
Listen, he's more than just a quarterback. He's more than a quarterback that runs the football, because he does pretty well running the football. I mean, he's had a couple 100-yard games on the ground. But Kyle, guess what? He's 20th in the NCAA in passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and is also in the top 10 in QBR among all quarterbacks in Division I this year.
You want me to say he's bad? I'm not going to do it. Dillon Gabriel is great, but Desmond Ridder's good too. Nothing wrong with it.
Listen, speaking of quarterbacks who were outstanding, BYU had another wonderful week. Listen, I know BYU hasn't played anybody. Washington would help to break the schedule, and Zach Wilson just threw 4 touchdowns on 16 passes. All right. The sad part was BYU won 66-10. Great game, but they beat the North Alabama Lions.
Listen, man, you're the one trying to cheer on the Chanticleers. How on earth am I going to give BYU any credit? Heck, there's a reason why we've talked about Notre Dame on this show more than we have BYU, and that's because credibility exists there. Even if Notre Dame was independent, I would take them more seriously than BYU by a long shot.
Listen.
You know what? That's my fault. I'm sorry. I did that to Thompson. That's my bad.
Bobby, they had a bye this week.
He doesn't care. We still beat Clemson, fools.
I got to play every week. It's tradition now. It's lucky. It's now we play your squad this week.
I mean, you could have waited. You could have waited till we talked about Chase Claypool later, bro. That's all I'm saying.
That's the other. That's the other one. That's the you get this for that.
Oh, that's true. You're right. That's my bad. We do get Omar Epps in a stocking cap. That's true.
Listen, he's from the Hampton, Virginia area. I gotta love Mike Tomlin for that one. So all I'm saying is, let's see. Wow, JPP just had an interception in the Rams game and almost took it back for a touchdown. All right. So speaking of teams that I'm big on, no, I'm not big on BYU, but I am big on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who took care of Appalachian.
Did you have something to drink before the show, Danny Thompson? Because it might not have been too much because you weren't talking about the Golden Gophers anymore.
Nope. Listen, go Coastal Carolina.
Hey, listen, real talk. What they did to Appalachian State was a big deal for them. And something I had forgotten about when we talked about it last week is that the Appalachian State team has 6 consecutive championships for the FCS. So that win to Coastal Carolina is a big deal. So, you can chant for the Chanticleers. I get it.
Listen, Coastal Carolina. Yes, Coastal Carolina's second half outscored Appalachian State 25-6 in the second half in their 34-23 victory. Listen, it sets up everything with Liberty coming up at the end of the season. This is Liberty's biggest chance to make the winners game. Basically, will get a shot, because guess what? Speaking of Liberty this week, well, listen, Liberty didn't do what they were supposed to. There's a big matchup. Liberty lost to NC State.
Mm-hmm. An actual Power 5 team, I might add, not the FCS. Like not North Texas or what have you.
North Alabama.
They play North Texas too. Whatever. They played the Texas State Armadillos. Whatever. Paul Blake for the win. I hope somebody gets that reference. Anyways.
Exactly. Well, Liberty allowed a safety in the third quarter, which led to NC State getting a game-winning touchdown. NC State wins 15-14 over Liberty. Yeah, no. And because what happened was a blocked field goal at the end of the game. Liberty had a chance to win the game with about a minute left in the game. NC State blocked the field goal. Liberty gets their first loss of the season, which basically kind of derailed Coastal Carolina's major national opportunity at the end of the season. Because think about this. If Liberty would have been undefeated, they probably would have been a team in the top, I'd say 17, 18. Coastal Carolina would probably been right around 10. It would have been a showcase game for Coastal Carolina, especially if they beat the brakes off Liberty.
You're not wrong.
Now Liberty, basically the flame has flamed out in Liberty. Other games in college football this week, Miami, Georgia Tech was postponed. Georgia beat Mississippi State. Auburn beat Tennessee. Alabama, I don't know what you call what Alabama did. Kentucky was 63-3. Yeah, I mean, you get a shoulder shrug. Iowa State 45-0 over Kansas State.
Why are we doing this? You're just like torturing people, Danny Thompson. You're still salty.
No. Well, what else was torture was watching Oklahoma beat down Oklahoma State 41-13, the Bedlam game.
Oh, boy. The damage that did to Tulane's credibility in the top 25. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, because, Kyle, you're big on Tulane's top 25 bid because guess what? Tulane also lost to Tulsa on Thursday night, 30-24. All right. I think I hit. Oh yeah. I forgot the other matchup with two top 10, 25 teams was in the Big Ten, and Northwestern beat Bucky Bad. All right.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical of those Wisconsin teams because their schedule to me, other than the Ohio State that gets listed on there, isn't really all that great. And then you see Northwestern. Okay, listen, they got a little pep in their step, and they come in, they punch Wisconsin in the mouth and take care of business. Now I have to take Northwestern seriously.
Because, Kyle, you know what? You mentioned the fact that you can't trust teams from Wisconsin, and guess what? This didn't happen just in college football. It happened in the NFL as well, too.
You mean one of your MVP candidates faltered, sir?
Listen, the Indianapolis Colts. No, Indianapolis Colts went home and took care of business over the Green Bay Packers as we transition to the NFL. Listen, everybody thinks the Indianapolis Colts is dead because Phillip Rivers is 827 years old, still has no arm and throws interceptions. But listen, Phillip Rivers wins games. Phillip Rivers just somehow had a chance to win the game in overtime yesterday, 31-34. Ugly second half of the game, but two, I'd say, Hall of Fame quarterbacks were going at it in this game. Aaron Rodgers, 27-38, 311, and three touchdowns with interception. Rivers, 24 carries, 24 for 36 for 288 and three touchdowns as well, too. Both quarterbacks got the ball down the field, but the big thing was there was a drop pass. It was a drop pass into the game, not by Devontae Adams, because that's where the ball should have went to. But Montrezl Valdes-Scantling, I probably messed up his name because he dropped the pass and messed me up anyway.
It's probably the first time you've ever had to try to say his name, so I can understand why you were unprepared.
Listen, he was unprepared for it too. Packers are now 7-3 on the season, and guess what, Kyle? The Indianapolis Colts are 7-3. Not the Texas State Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are 7-3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with the way that the Titans have been struggling of late, this game next week against the Colts, kind of a big deal of that, But let's also put some blame where it belongs too. Aaron Charles Rodgers did his thing because he's Aaron Charles Rodgers. That defense, though, still letting them down on a regular basis. You had the opportunity to bolster it, and you did not. So no receivers, nobody on the defensive front that the Niners annihilated in the conference championship game last year. What? Why do I trust the Packers other than to win the division? They're no different than the Tennessee Titans. Segue.
I mean, and before we segue right into the Titans, here's one thing, Kyle. Here's the part that you mentioned about Aaron Rodgers and the offense. I don't know if this is an offensive thing or a defensive thing. The Packers scored 3 points after halftime. They had 28 in the first half. Now, you might call it an offensive implosion, or the fact that the Colts defense really got good in the second half.
It's an adjustment. And listen, the Colts defense is good enough to do that. Say what you will. I know Darius Leonard has missed some time here and there in the middle of that group, but even with him not on the field, they do amazing things. And listen, at least one turnover was made by the one 49er that isn't hurt this year. The thing is, he's not playing for the 49ers anymore in the form of Danny Thompson's boy, DeForest Buckner. Sack.
Listen, and Kyle, I'm going to go back to your wonderful segue because you segued perfectly early into the Tennessee Titans game against the Indianapolis Colts this week. Listen, I don't know what to take from this game on Sunday between the Titans and the Baltimore Ravens, because here's my take from it. Either somehow Derrick Henry is just a walking version of a video game, because that touchdown run in overtime was one thing.
Right.
Or Kyle, this is what we had talked about all season. Lamar Jackson without wide receivers is never going to work in Baltimore, because it just seems like week after week, Lamar Jackson is not the player he was last year. Is it Kyle, is he regressed, or is that the Ravens front office has failed him? Which one is it at this point?
I don't feel like it's regression. Honestly, I mean, let's remember one thing that's a fact too, my friend. Your schedule gets harder when you win your division the next year, right? And the Tennessee Titans actually came out with a completely different game plan, doing a lot of passing. Listen, there were some receivers playing with some spunk for that Tennessee Titans team, fighting for extra yards, earning touchdowns, running as hard as you would expect Derrick Henry would. And then Derrick Henry says, "Hold my beer," in overtime. I mean, let's not forget, the game went to overtime on the strength of Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things. But if you see Lamar Jackson doing not winning the game against the Tennessee Titans defense, I understand why you're asking the question.
The question I have with this, Kyle, and this is something that you look at Lamar Jackson, his numbers on Sunday, once again, it's way past pedestrian. It was just average. 17 of 29, 186 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Kyle, if you look at what Lamar Jackson's done over the last few weeks, now his 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions are normally good for numbers. They're pretty solid. Almost a 3-1, almost a 2.5 to 1 touchdown interception ratio. But Kyle, he's only hitting 63% of his passes. And the one thing that made him so dangerous last year was what he did on the ground. And I can't tell you the last time Lamar Jackson had a 100-yard game on the ground. Oh, I'm sorry. It was 4 weeks ago against Philadelphia.
And listen, to your point, they've discovered that that's the way to beat them. So think about this, Danny Thompson. You got a guy who's primarily a runner and only competed with Russell Wilson last year in total yardage because of his feet, right? They say, okay, shut down the run and beat us over the top. And Lamar Jackson makes some passes. Who does he mostly make passes to? The tight end, Mark Andrews, right? The receivers can't get this. When the tight end is the only guy that can get separation, you're in trouble. And listen, I know you're going to say, but George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk is getting separation, and they're scoring on occasion with him instead of George Kittle while he's out. So what's the Ravens' excuse? Give me a receiver that can do something. And listen, I get why the Ravens may not have wide receiver help at the moment, but they really needed a wide receiver draft like you got last year to give Lamar Jackson some hope, I would say.
Kyle, here's a great statistic. So Lamar Jackson completed 17 passes for 186 yards yesterday.
Right.
Mark Andrews caught 5 for 96 by himself. So what we have is a problem here in Baltimore. Not problem in Houston, problem in Baltimore. The other 12 catches went to receivers and running backs, Kyle, for a grand total of 90 yards.
I would even argue that I didn't catch the stats specific as you did, but I would in that analysis, I would take the running back catches out because those are check downs too, partner.
Well, Kyle, if you want to do that, that means that it was actually what J.K. Cobbins caught 2, and the tight end and the fullback caught 1. So now we're going down. Let's take these numbers down. That's 3 more catches. So we're now down to 9 catches among tight ends, non-Mark Andrews, and running backs. Dez Bryant caught 4 passes for 28 yards. Willie Snead was targeted 7 times and caught 23 receiving yards on 3 catches. All right. Hollywood Brown, no catches on 3 targets. Now, it could be an object of the fact that Lamar Jackson can't find water, but it's also a simple fact of, guess what? The Ravens can't get separation.
Correct. I mean, listen, it can't be about Lamar Jackson not being able to do it. The dude threw for 365 yards in a playoff team against a Titans defense that was better last year than this year. I don't want to hear all that.
But in that game they were playing from behind because Derrick Henry was playing Madden with the entire secondary of the Ravens on rookie.
Well, actually, that adds to my point, my good friend. A quarterback like Lamar Jackson does not do his best football usually playing from behind, but he did some damn fine football that day playing from behind. Good point by you.
You know what though? But you know what makes a difference? You look at Ryan Tannehill, you look at Lamar Jackson in this game. Here's the difference. Here's another thing to look at. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown caught 9 passes combined, while the Ravens caught 17 as a team. The Ravens had 186 receiving yards as a team. The combination of Davis and Brown finished with 175. That's just from the top for 1A and 1B at wide receiver for the Ravens. For the Titans, almost outdid everything that was on the field for Baltimore on Sunday.
So let me ask you a question, Danny Thompson, and it's very simple, yes or no. Does that sound like a Baltimore Ravens defense?
No, it sounds like the Baltimore Ravens offense can't get anything done because here's the problem.
It's a little of both is what I'm saying. When you're giving up that many yardage to 2 players, that side of the ball ain't what it used to be either.
But we don't know. But at the same time, it also helps a quarterback have a better day. When your receivers,
yes.
I'm speaking for the offense side. Now the Ravens defense, they let them down. But here's the thing: the defense can't save you every single week. Your offense is going to have to be able to do something to keep teams off the field.
Oh yeah. No, I think they're relational here, right? If the defense can't fill the gap, which in the past there have been Ravens defenses that have. Need I remind you of a certain Trent Dilfer? Okay, but when a defense like that isn't present, the offense must fill that gap. And to your point, they aren't doing that either. You're 100% right, which is something we haven't said to each other a lot on this show lately. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yes. Because so I'm going to give you 2 teams that had no offense. Because you about teams that had offensive issues. Let's talk about 2 teams who didn't have offensive issues, and we'll go past them real quickly. The Detroit Lions put up a goose egg against the Carolina Panthers, who didn't have Teddy Bridgewater or Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Bobby, I think this would be a perfect time to pay our favorite little Lion here, because the Lions' offense was damn near awful.
Say awful.
Awful. The one time I cue up the Lion, Bobby doesn't get. There we go. Because that was the Lion. Exactly. Because that Lion that we just saw was the Lions' running game against the Carolina Panthers. It looked like the Lions' rushing attack looked like basically you playing on Tecmo Bowl and the Carolina Panthers called every play that was going on. Adrian Hall of Fame Peterson had 7 carries for 18 yards.
I like it.
Because DeAndre Swift was out. Okay. Carolina is not exactly the greatest defense in the history of the NFL. All right. They're not really going out there, but guess what? The defense took care of business. The Lions had 185 yards in total offense and lost to a team that starting a quarterback that was in damn XFL 5 months ago.
PJ Walker, right?
Yeah, PJ Walker didn't have the best debut of the NFL. He threw 2 interceptions in the game. Did throw for over 258 yards and a touchdown. Mike Davis had 64 yards on the ground, and DJ Moore called over 100 yards. But what I'm saying is, the Lions play a rookie quarterback, and Matt Stafford was the one running an offense like a rookie. Speaking of teams with no power outages, the team that we should be talking about that's still undefeated is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers beat the.
There he is.
Now that's on cue, by the way. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now 10-0 this season after going down to Jacksonville and slap around the Jaguars 27-3. All right. Now, Kyle, here's a question. Now, Jake, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jake Luton was back.
Yeah, yes.
Jake was Luton free. Played Luton free football on Sunday. All right, Kyle. 16-37 with 4 interceptions. All right. Now, they were saying that Gardner Minshew wasn't going to get his job back at this point. But as bad as Luton played with a quarterback rating of 15, do we give Uncle Rico the ball back again and try to see if he can bring State back over the mountain? Or do the Jaguars turn to Mike Glennon at this point?
Considering the fact that you were playing that defensive front, for my money, those numbers just don't matter. The Browns are coming to town next week, and honestly, if they have trouble moving the ball against that defense, it is at that point you decide on Mike Glennon. Because listen, see what you will about Mike Glennon as a backup. There have been times where he's shown flash. Just saying.
I mean, it was bad. 43% completion percentage. And listen, the Steelers are we're not. It's crazy. Every week the Steelers win. We don't lead with them in any of our NFL segments.
Would you lead with the Jaguars game?
No, it's not leading with the Jaguars, Kyle. But here's the thing: they are 10-0. All right,
they are.
And you mentioned they're 10-0, and we're really not talking about the only undefeated team in the NFL.
That's right.
I guess beating the Jaguars and the Cowboys and teams that are way under them value-wise doesn't get them more credit on the show.
I mean, listen, they don't have the same flash as the teams that you and I, air quotes, enjoy watching, right? Like, listen, they've won games, but at the end of the day, I don't know that the Steelers have as tough a schedule as the Chiefs, right? The Raiders are producing ahead of schedule. The Chargers, though not a great team this season in and of themselves, the AFC West divisional rivalries are stupid. You have to be prepared for anything. Please let me cite Justin Herbert's debut as one of them, right? As where they damn near won that game. Whereas other than the Ravens, the Browns and the Bengals, listen, I respect what Joe Burrow's done to this point, and we'll get more about on him soon, I'm sure. But who else is there? You know,
you digress, and the thing is, Pittsburgh has a national TV game on Thanksgiving night against the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be. But the problem is the Ravens aren't even healthy because Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins are out due to COVID.
Yeah, that part is sad. And listen,
so Lamar, they're going to tee off Lamar Jackson on Thursday night.
Probably so. And listen, the Ravens and the Steelers are my favorite rivalry in the NFL right now. I'm very surprised it is still as prolific as it is, even with some of the departure of a lot of the Ravens' talent. When Big Ben retires, I wonder if that rivalry has the same shine on it. We'll see. Hell, that may even start to change this Thursday with what's happening with the COVID situation with Ingram. So we'll see, man.
And you know what, though? Yeah, I think to your point, if Roethlisberger is gone, I think the rivalry still stands because as long as Mike Tomlin is still coaching in this division, there's really nothing more you can say. And speaking of teams in the division, you mentioned the Cleveland Browns earlier. The Cleveland Browns won an ugly game against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday.
An ugly Browns win. Is there another kind, Danny Thompson?
I don't know what's worse, the Browns winning this game ugly or the fact that Carson Wentz looked awful again on Sunday.
Well, listen, man, with bad weather, that plays right into the Browns' hands. Listen, I'm not making excuses for Carson Wentz.
That interception was unacceptable.
What's that?
The pick six was unacceptable. I don't want to hear that one.
Oh, sure. And I'm not saying it wasn't. Don't get crazy now. Come on, Danny Thompson. But at the end of the day, you have to admit Carson Wentz has played with a butt ton of adversity in that franchise, man.
But Kyle, at some point in time, like I understand the adversity is there, but at some point in time, when are you going to actually start making plays for your football team?
He has been making plays for his football team. Keep in mind, there's been wins where we're like, he's hitting some guy that went to Old Dominion, for Christ's sake. You know, that's what with Carson Wentz, he has to do everything. And when you're forced to do everything, you force plays. And to use your word, make unacceptable mistakes. I'm not saying he's playing his best football, Danny. What I'm telling you is he might be doing bad, but I don't know that it's his fault. I guess I'm pulling the Andrew Luck defense here.
Well, 3 turnovers by the Eagles on Sunday, including a pick 6 that was just uncalled for. Yes, the Eagles don't have weapons. Yes, the Eagles don't have talent on the offensive side of the ball, or protection, or receivers, or running backs, or mascots, or fans. They don't have a lot of things right now. The only thing the Eagles do have is they're in first place in the NFC East, because guess what? The NFC East is now a freaking tie right now. All right, so let's do the NFC East section of the show, since we're going to run. Yes, because guess what? The NFC East is technically a tie. When will Wentz get the hook? Hell, he should have had the hook a long time ago. But the simple fact that you can't put a man on the hook when Zach Ertz is down. They have no receivers. I don't know when Deshaun Jackson will ever touch the field again, because every time he touches, he falls right off it as soon as he gets on. Alshon Jeffrey's been hurt. The Philadelphia.
To answer the question more directly, because everything you said is absolutely true, I don't think they pull him. I would say to the comment to John there that I think he gets a last shot in 2021. If it starts out that week, providing they stay healthy, man, damn it. If they start to struggle early, they might start to rotate off of him. They do have a very interesting and compelling concept as a backup in their most recent draft pick. So there you go.
Here's the problem. You could put any draft pick back there, Kyle. You could put Joe Montana. You could put Steve Young. You could put Jalen Hurts. You can go find You can go find Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. But if you have no receivers and no offensive line, I don't care what quarterback's out there. Unless it's a 99 overall career quarterback on Madden that's got 4.1 speed and can throw the ball at Michael Vick, is accurate as Steve Young, there's no way that any quarterback is going to fail that system. And to succeed in that system. And to answer John's question, I think Wentz gets pulled the second the Eagles fall in the playoff race. That's when I see it happening. Because the Eagles are because the Eagles are a tie ahead of everybody else in the division. Like I mentioned, a tie ahead of everybody else.
I heard you, brother.
You can't pull Wentz because he's first place. Only Brian Flores does stuff like this. Carson Wentz keeps his job right now because here's what's going on in the NFC. I don't even know what you want to call it. But yes,
do the thing.
Listen, the New York Giants, Bobby's team, are now 3-7. They're tied for
Yes.
Yes. The Giants end up gaining a full game because of the fact that the Eagles can't somehow win. The Dallas Cowboys won a game against the Minnesota Vikings because guess what? The Cowboys' offense looked like a real offense.
Andy Dalton. Sorry.
Well, no, it wasn't Cousins' fault. Cousins threw for 314.
I know. I just like ragging on him. I'm sorry.
Listen, that was an irritating fourth quarter as there was 28 points scored in the fourth quarter, and it was big plays all the way around. Tony Pollard had the big touchdown run. Adam hooked on a Thielen. Big shouts to my Adam hooked on a Thielen. Big shouts to my main man. No. Chisel Adonis, who say hooked on a Thielen on his highlight reel. Caught 2 touchdowns in the game. Listen, Andy Dalton. What's up, Peter? My main man, Big Peter over at Haps. Big shout out to Haps. Also, Kyle, we're gonna talk Haps in a minute. So check out Peter and his app from Haps. Check it out. Download it. You'll see a lot of my NBA content. You'll probably see Kyle talking UCF pretty soon. All right. So Andy Dalton, 22 of 32, 203 yards, 3 touchdowns. Listen, Andy Dalton looked like the red rifle. He wasn't a BB gun. He was actually the red rifle that Ralphie wanted for Christmas. Okay,
he did the Bengals to the playoffs 4 years in a row, right? I mean,
no, but he shot the Vikings' eye out on Sunday. There you go. Ezekiel Elliott had his first 100-yard game since I couldn't tell you when, and the Cowboys looked like a functional offense. To now fall a half game behind the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, other games. The Washington football team won the game 20-9 over the Cincinnati Bengals, but that really wasn't the story.
Hey, listen, we'll get the Washington part out of the way, okay? You can't spell Washington football team without WTF. Moving on.
Well, the Washington football, we don't want to take away from the Washington football team's victory because they're now a half game out of the division. Alex Smith's first win as a starting quarterback since the last time he was actually effective in Washington, when it was known as the Redskins, when the Redskins actually were good.
2018.
When they were good, because Alex Smith was leading the playoffs. The game was marred by the fact that rookie number 1 overall pick Joe Burrow tore his ACL, MCL, be out for the rest of the season. He left the game on the cart. He'll probably he's going to miss the rest of the season and probably miss into the start of next season. Joe Burrow was having a phenomenal season. The Bengals were actually fun to watch, regardless of what the record says. And now they have to turn to who's the quarterback in Cincinnati?
I honestly forgot. I'm so sorry.
I don't think Cincinnati knows who their starting quarterback is right now.
Is it Ryan Finley?
He's still in the league?
That's what I said. Yes, it was Ryan Finley. Because why, Kyle? Ryan Finley came in, and to Bobby's point, he completed 3 passes and was sacked 4 times. Ryan Finley finished the game 3 of 10 for 30 yards and an interception. Jeez. Antonio Gibson had 94 yards on the ground for the Washington football team, leading them to a victory. Steven Sims Jr. caught a touchdown pass. And listen, the Washington defense, they sacked Finley 4 times, had 6 tackles for loss. Hit the quarterback 12 times in the game. The defense looked phenomenal, just chasing everything around the field. And speaking of chasing things around the field, listen, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, that defensive line got to it. Sure. And even Chase Young got into the fact, but he had a couple tackles in the game. So basically, to keep you up in the NFC East, everybody's a half game behind Philadelphia. That's all you need to know. Speaking of things that you need to know, Kyle, I need to know this.
Sure.
If you're Brian Flores, you got a rookie quarterback on the road down 20-10 against the Denver Broncos. He's struggling. Are you pulling him? And he's not hurt.
So I know you can only glean so much from a press conference. When I heard both quarterbacks speak on it, Tua, I think, is in that state of he's like, I'm so young I don't care, or I don't know to be worried about it. So I think it kind of works. Coach Flo did something to put a shot in the arm to get his team back on track to win that football game. Let's not get stupid here. And listen, those of us like you and I who are on the business of storytelling do have to ask this question. I'm not giving you a hard time for bringing it up. But do you have any reason to believe that Tua Tagovailoa will not start next week?
You already know. I knew that he wasn't starting, but I think here's the thing.
You knew he would start next week. That's what you meant, right?
He started next week. I don't think there was a shadow of a doubt, because if you send this kid to the bench and you bench him at this point, like literally, like you don't start him next week, the kid, you might as well trade him. His confidence is shot at that point. But here's the thing.
Potential or risk, I should say. You're right.
Yes, Tua didn't have his best game, but you know what? You got to let the kid fight through it. You got to let the kid fight through adversity. Denver was wearing him out. I'm not going to lie. Denver with the stunts, the changing, the offensive line was abysmal for the Dolphins yesterday. They let everybody in through. Basically, the Dolphins' offensive line looked like the opening doors of Target during Black Friday. Everybody was getting through at 6 a.m. Okay,
I like it. Good one.
All right, everybody was getting through. Okay, they beat Tua Tagovailoa like literally. You would have thought that Tua cost them the national championship the way they were hitting him across the field yesterday.
Hey, listen, I've written extensively about offensive line issues in Miami, and we saw it again that day. That's all I can tell you.
But Kyle, at some point, I know that Tua had the week one. The first game against was the Rams. The defense and special teams saved him in that game. The second week, it was really the fact of the defense, the running game, and other people helped Tua win that game. So yeah, he didn't really have to win with his arm, but you got to give this kid a chance. If anything, we saw in week one, Joe Burrow brought his team back and literally should have won that game week one if it wasn't been for his kicker accurately missing. Yeah. We saw Justin Herbert was down to Patrick LaVon Mahomes II.
Good man.
he was down to Patrick LaVon Mahomes II in his first NFL game coming off the bench, and he almost led to a victory.
And that's without even bringing up participating in shootouts with Thomas Edward Brady and Drew. I need to allude his middle name Breeze too.
But what I'm saying is there was adversity in that Chargers game. That game he first came in because he lost Tyrod Taylor. They were down to the Super Bowl champions, and guess what? They could have been blown out of the building, but he kept the composure. The first time we saw signs that Tua in trouble, he gets benched for Fitzpatrick, who, as Flores said, he gave him the best chance to win this game at this moment. I don't like the call. Now, know what Flores has done. Flores has pretty much been winning everything he's done, Kyle, so far in his 2 years has worked.
3 years.
I don't know if this was just a good idea. I don't know.
I hear it long term, and you will have that concern unless one thing happens. The Dolphins make the playoffs. The moment they do that, I think we've put your concern to rest. The same thing was said regarding the pulling of one Peyton Manning in favor of Brock Osweiler, and then he went out and beat the Patriots and had a great game. And Brock Osweiler got pulled, and people questioned that. And then Peyton Manning went on to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Dolphins are winning the Super Bowl. Slow down. What I am saying is Brian Flores is showing the world that the Dolphins are no longer in rebuild mode, and they can come out at you with two different sets of quarterbacks. You better have two different sets of game plans when you're trying to battle Miami. Conventional wisdom, you're 100% right, Danny Thompson, and 9 times out of 10, I would agree with you. If at any point in the season Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert were pulled, I would think it would be nuts to do so. Tua's different in this situation because I feel like it's a different makeup in Miami. And frankly, the other rookies, I could argue, well, maybe not Joe Burrow, have better protection.
Well, Kyle, speaking of other rookies and the Dolphins' next opponent, that's the next two games we're talking about. The Los Angeles Chargers took care of the Dolphins' next opponent, the New York Jets, 34-28, in a wild affair in Los Angeles on Sunday. Justin Herbert, who was my pick for Rookie of the Year a few weeks ago on the threepointconversion.com. Check out that article, by the way. With 37 of 49, 366 yards, and is still throwing passes against the Jets secondary. All right. Listen, if I know Tua can bounce back because the Jets don't actually care about football, the Jets might be as bad as the Cleveland Browns are when they were 0-16. Yeah. Listen, Herbert and Keenan Allen have just become a dynamic duo. Kyle, we talked about rookie quarterbacks having a target or a young quarterback having somebody to throw to. It's good when your main target, Kyle. Listen to this. Herbert throws 49 times, Kyle. He targeted Keenan Allen 19 times in the game, and Keenan caught 16 for 145.
Listen, that guy's made a career out of making quarterbacks look good. The other one just happened to be Phillip Rivers.
Listen, you know it's great. Like I said, when you can target a guy 19 times, he catches it 16 times. Now, sometimes it's route running, sometimes it's throwing, but the combination of the fact of 3 of those targets didn't connect, I will take, Kyle, a 80+% catch to target ratio any day of the week. Especially if you're catching 16 of them. All right. Tua has a chance to bounce back because the next 2 weeks it's the Jets and the Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Alley Cats. They ain't Bengals anymore, Alley Cats.
By the way, you don't think that factor on the schedule didn't have anything to do with Flores' decision. I'm just throwing that out there too, partner.
Listen, if it works to your favor, then it's a beautiful thing to talk about. Now let's talk about something that's not beautiful. The New Orleans Saints hosted the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday, and if you played fantasy football on ESPN this week, if you had Taysom Hill as your tight end in football, you probably should have won this week. The Atlanta Falcons have learned to lose in every way possible, and Kyle, I've said it before, what can the Falcons do differently to lose this week? Well, they lost to a guy who was listed as a tight end in damn fantasy football this week. Taysom Hill, who is listed as a tight end because he spent most of his snaps last season as a tight end, starts for the New Orleans Saints in a week where everyone thought that it was going to be Jameis Winston. Winston didn't even practice with the first. It wasn't even on the first team roster to play all week. It had no packages set. And Taysom Hill had a slow start, but Taysom Tebow does it again.
I'm glad you mentioned Taysom Tebow because really the real story of this, and take off your headphones if you need to, Danny Thompson. But for me, while Taysom Hill did manage to air quotes lead the offense, 8 sacks by the Saints defense for me is the story. Listen, we make jokes about Matt Ryan on this show. He is a good quarterback, but when he's on his back more often than Heather Locklear and Melrose Place in the 90s, you can't be successful, period.
Listen, and Kyle, here's a I guess I always say it's a great number. Here's an interesting statistic with the Atlanta Falcons and Matt Ryan. Julio Jones missed the second half of the game due to another freaking injury. Go figure. An injury that I think is another hamstring injury that might keep him out again on Sunday.
Hamstrings are tough, man.
I play fantasy football, and Kyle, you did at one point in time. But here's a stat: Matt Ryan is in the 3 games this year when Julio Jones either been out or injured or left the game, is ranked as quarterback 27, 26, and 25. He is a below top 25 quarterback when Julio Jones is not on the field. Ryan finished yesterday 19-37 with 2 interceptions and 232 passing yards. Now, one of them was a Hail Mary into the first half, but Kyle, you get my point. When your number one receiver is not on the field, it's struggling. And like you said before, if your offensive line ain't blocking either, it's even worse. No offense to Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley's not Julio Jones. Sure. And Kyle, the sad part is the Saints didn't even have Marcus Lattimore.
Correct. I mean, listen, anybody can be as good a quarter as Marcus Lattimore when the quarterback isn't throwing the damn ball. I mean, not to be a smarty pants, but those are the facts of the case, my good friend.
Speaking of things and people are sad right now, Patriots fans are even sadder right now.
Yeah.
Listen, this Cam Newton thing ain't going to last much longer, and this defensive thing ain't lasting much longer either. I don't know what to make of the New England Patriots, but this ain't Bill Belichick football. The Houston Texans went in and beat the New England Patriots, and I don't know what more I can say.
The team that had a more capable defense won because both teams have a capable quarterback. Cam Newton did not lose this football game. Deshaun Watson didn't have to. Deshaun Watson didn't have to play against J.J. Watt, whereas Cam Newton did. That's what I'm getting at, Danny Thompson.
Here's the issue. I'm pretty sure JJ says hi because as the president of the JJ Watt fan club.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, the founding father of the fan club. Here's the thing: Cam Newton threw for 365 yards in the game, but his leading receiver was Demetrius Byrd. It was a Damiere Byrd, Kyle. His leading receiver is Damiere Byrd. How can you win games? No offense against Damiere Byrd because he had over 132 yards receiving, but how are you going to win games like that?
I'll see that and raise you this, Danny Thompson. This is also citing that happened with a Houston Texans team that you were ragging on for having gotten rid of D-Hop, rightly so, I might add, whose best receivers include the likes of Randall Cobb and Brandon Cooks. And your gripe is with Damiere Byrd being on the field a lot of yards.
At least Brandon Cook.
Go ahead.
At least Brandon Cooks has 1,000 yards. Damiere Byrd doesn't have 1,000 minutes on the field.
You're right, and that's my point, homie. What I'm getting to is say what you will about Cam Newton because he's getting obliterated by the Boston Press. Which, I mean, hell, a Santa Claus would get annihilated by the Boston Press. Granted, not as bad as Philadelphia Bullion, but I digress. Cam Newton is getting crunched in any way possible, and it's really not his fault, in my opinion.
Yeah, but in New England, somebody's got to take the blame because Thomas Edward Bieber Brady has won so many games with the same things he's gone through. It's always going to be a comparison because he's not Tom Brady.
Okay, but you numerous COVID opt-outs on the defensive side of the ball. So many of them starters, I might add.
Listen, Kyle, speaking of things to add, what you want to add is another MVP trophy to one Patrick LeVon Mahomes II.
First of all, let me stop you real quick. If he ends up winning it, I'm not going to be angry. It's just that Russell Wilson deserved it more. I digress.
No. Patrick Mahomes, not only did Patrick Mahomes avenge the only loss he had this season against the Las Vegas Raiders, he did it on their home stadium and won after throwing an interception and leading his team to a game-winning drive against Las Vegas Raiders on the road, 35-31. Once again, Mr. Mahomes carries out the victory. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
he is the league.
Taking this MVP silliness of yours out of the equation for a minute. Listen, the story should have been Derek Carr. Okay, the drive he executed to land that touchdown to a 572-year-old Jason Witten in the end zone was
who
a
Rodney
thing.
can outrun.
Who Rodney can outrun, which means I can outrun him too, I guess. The punchline being, listen, that was a great drive, and it should have been the story, except for Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. I'm not here to take credit away from him. But what I am here to add is credit for Travis Kelce, who had a number of third down conversions because he was always reliable. And among a number of other great weapons that the Kansas City Chiefs have that help make that magic moment possible, all by the brought together by the ringleader of one hell of a football circus in the form of Patrick Mahomes.
No. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's Patrick LaVon Mahomes.
I got lazy, man. I said it twice already, for crap's sake. Come on, man.
No. Listen, no. You actually did.
My bad. I'll work on my cardio. I won't be as tired next time. That's on me. You're right. I'm sorry.
Listen, all you have to say is, listen, Mahomes has done everything he possibly can to win the MVP. At this point in the league, this point in the season, he won the MVP. Yes, Russell. He gets his middle name back because he's not Russell Carrington Interception anymore. He does get his last name back because he didn't throw an interception. And guess what? His team did hold on to win, even though, let's be honest, the defense saved his ass for that final series on Kyler Murray anyway. I digress.
That is unacceptable.
Carlos Dunlap.
Carlos Dunlap actually coming back is a good thing. You think I'm gonna talk trash on that? You're high. and Tyler Lockett, really not the explosive threats they have been all the time because people have learned to sit back and wait for the long ball because that's all they're good for. Carlos Hyde, a guy who's a good running back, don't get it twisted, but ain't winning no MVPs or rushing titles, was all that he needed to make the difference on the night, beating the Arizona Cardinals, which, by the way, I did predict in the preseason that these two teams would split. So there you go.
All I have to say is, no offense to Russell Carrington Wilson because he gets his last name back, but Patrick LaVon Mahomes. No, Patrick LaVon Mahomes. Go look at that final throw to Travis Kelce.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice.
A thing of beauty. Okay,
dude.
Sidearm bullet everywhere. This is why this man gets $500 million. That's just all I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Hey, listen, there's a reason why we have this debate every week, even though I'm right. Because at the end of the day, who actually wins? America. Because we're talking about two amazing quarterbacks, Danny Thompson.
And you know what? Great segue, Kyle. You know what else wins? America wins when we do Mount Rushmore. So it's time for our favorites. It's time for our favorite segment of the show. The final segment of the show is the Mount Rushmore segment. Yes, it's Kyle and I's favorite part of the show because guess what? We get to talk about something that's completely different. It is Mount Rushmore. So for those who never watched it, shame on you. For those who have, please feel free to chime in and leave your comments at the bottom of the screen. So what me and Kyle do is Kyle and I get a topic, and guess what? We talk about our Mount Rushmore, which is our top four, favorite four, or whatever four we want to put on a list. And guess what? This is Mount Rushmore. And sometimes if Bobby jumps in, Bobby jumps in as well too. Now, Kyle, we all know what Thursday is. Thursday is a day for a few things. Number one, it's a day to give thanks. Number two is a day to be with family, even though in most cases it's how it is being with family. Number three is a day to watch the Detroit Lions lose, and for the Dallas Cowboys to find some kind of way to do something stupid with their halftime show. All right. So, Kyle, the one thing we all enjoy about Thanksgiving is food. Yes, the cornucopia of food. Too bad we can't watch Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving due to damn Apple stealing all the damn streaming rights. You bastards!
Hey, planes, trains, and automobiles, mother beep. That's where it's at, son.
No, nothing's better than watching Snoopy hand out Thanksgiving turkeys, and I'll fight you over it.
No, all right. What I'm saying is, if you can't get that, planes, trains, and automobiles with Steve Martin and John Candy, fool, recognize it. Go to the Hilarity by Default right now, and you watch that review too. Darn it.
No, Kyle, because here's the thing. No, I will not. We'll not do this on the show.
What's wrong with you? Why are you
Well, no, we're not talking about Hilarity by Default. It's a great podcast, by the way. Go check it out. What I'm saying is, For you to sit here and talk about the difference that plane, trains, automobiles is comparable to Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving is damn near blasphemous.
I said it's a good alternative since Apple
No.
screwed you over.
It's not good. No, it's not an alternative. Yes, I need a hug. Precious, are you still available? Yes. Okay, thank you. What I'm saying is, it's not comparable. Comparing plane, trains, automobiles to Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving is basically saying it's almost as bad as comparing.
Don't you do
it? No, it's almost as bad as comparing the Detroit Lions and actually real like halftime performances. Detroit has had some of the worst halftime performances during the middle of Thanksgiving in history. In a city that is Motown. Now I'm going to rant. Duh! Okay. Detroit is the home of Motown. Okay. Motown. We're talking some of the greatest musicians in the world. There's so many different types, especially with Motown. There's so many R&B, soul, classic arts, but they have got the damn near worst halftime shows of all time. Now I've seen pop acts in Dallas. Listen, it is what it is. Detroit better not disappoint me with halftime this year. I promise you, I will throw a turkey like a damn screen on Monday. All right.
What you're trying to say is if the home of Motown has a bad halftime show, you might get the temptation to rant again.
All we know is that Thursday's football matchups are the Houston Texans versus the Detroit Lions. The Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys fight for first place.
Riveting
and
stuff.
Yes, and the late game, the Thursday night game is the game we all want to see, but all the running backs of the Ravens have caught COVID.
Welcome to 2020. Can we go back to Mount Rushmore now? Because I'm getting depressed.
So now, guess what? Now we have to concentrate on what's really important. It's the Mount Rushmore of Thanksgiving foods. Yes, Kyle. Yes. So, Kyle, what is your Mount Rushmore of Thanksgiving food, sir?
First of all, I mean, if you don't put turkey, you're doing it wrong. There are these people, oh, I don't like turkey. Get out. Okay? By the way, oh, ham is better. Shut your face. Okay? You're not here for you. You want to waste my time with sweet potato casserole? Fine. This is your holiday. I'm not eating that trash. Okay? At the end of the day, don't have turkey. You're doing it wrong. There's no other answers. The only thing that might be a worse take is pineapple on pizza or Die Hard as a Christmas movie, but I'm sure that'll be a separate episode. What I'm getting to is that here comes Danny Thompson. And here's what I'm trying to say. Turkey, there, belongs there, has to be there. Thank you very much. 2, stuffing. Duh. Okay. It's ironic because they call it stuffing, but it's like you shouldn't actually put it in the turkey, but people put it in the turkey, whatever. At the end of the day, you don't have stuffing. Air quotes one more time again. Doing it wrong. Mashed potatoes, folks. Good God, for the love of Pete. If you don't have mashed potatoes there, although I'm implying that gravy is part of this, if you're not making gravy out of the remains of your turkey, first of all, just go online and look it up. You get drippings and flour. Boom, the job's done. Stop being lazy, you hippies. The gravy is also included in the mashed potatoes in this entry because the mashed potatoes without gravy is good, but let's not be stupid here. Finally, for the love of Pete, it's not my favorite pie, but if you don't have it on Thanksgiving, once again, doing it wrong. Pumpkin pie. Duh. It doesn't get more traditional than this. Don't come at me with cranberry sauce. It's probably the single most overrated Thanksgiving dish of all time. And damn it, don't come at me with green bean casserole. That's Thanksgiving candy corn to me. Boom. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie. Danny Thompson, it couldn't be easier for me this year. Go.
Bobby, what you got in New Jersey, my friend?
Well, it's kind of hard to deviate from the basics, right? All I know is that up here we have our, not this year though, but we usually have our traditional Italian Thanksgiving, which is like goes from like 12:30 to 8 o'clock at night.
I'm talking about
6 courses.
Woo!
But for me, my must-have for Thanksgiving, and I just found out we're having it again, is the antipasta, which usually sets the tone for bloating for the rest of the day. The little cheeses, a little pepperoni, a little salami, a little, So that's my main thing. And of course, Monday, my mother will be making stuffed artichokes, which is a tradition in our family. My favorite Italian dish ever, stuffed artichokes.
It's a good time.
Okay, so we got 2 more. Bob, what you got?
And one more thing, we've had twice in the past 10 years. My brother-in-law would make the stuffing out of White Castle hamburgers.
I'm intrigued.
Very good. Very different.
Okay. And then you got a final piece for Mount Rushmore. That's 3.
Anything pumpkin pie, pumpkin cheesecake, and
All right.
I do have a question for your fiance, but we'll post hers after we're done.
Very good.
All right. So Bobby's Thanksgiving is interesting because Bobby's Italian. So you know what? I really can't say anything different because everything he had in his list is completely family oriented and family traditions. So I really can't go against that. So
I agree. Yeah.
You can't go wrong family. But none of y'all hit some of the stuff on Thanksgiving that's damn near mandatory. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the mandatory Thanksgiving list. All right. This is the only time of the year where turkey is a star. All right. So turkey has to be here. Turkey's not a star Turkey's not a star any other time of the year. All right. I don't never hear anybody in the middle of May say, you know what? Let's go make a turkey.
My dad used to do that, but he's different. I get that.
In the middle of May?
I love turkey, partner.
Okay, listen, he's one of the rare ones. But no one says I want turkey in the middle of June, July, August. Okay. Let turkey have its day, all right? Turkey's a star. Okay. Tom didn't die for it.
You're the turkey that's the star every week. So there we go, Danny Thompson. Dunks it home.
The only time turkey gets credit is in bowling. Okay. Outside of that, let turkey have his day. So turkey is the star of the show. But Kyle, where the macaroni and cheese is, Kyle? Macaroni and cheese is a Thanksgiving staple. Okay.
It has to be honorable mention. And listen, man.
Honorable mention?
Let me put it to you this way. I didn't want to make you look bad by not having you be the one to say mac and cheese because there are certain social implications there. I'm just saying.
No, Kyle, you can say macaroni and cheese. Listen, there's no social implications on here. We're just talking about the fake Thanksgiving foods. There is no social implications. You're not having. So, all right. To your point, cranberry sauce sucks and it shouldn't be on this list anyway, okay? There's no way Jell-O should be involved in anything at Thanksgiving. If you want to argue me otherwise, I'll fight you in the street. Cranberry sauce sucks. Okay,
maybe Jell-O shots to deal with your family members.
That's different. But I'm talking about. Listen, cranberry sauce. I'm sorry, Kyle. I hate cursing on my show, but sometimes I have to do it because we're not officially cable yet. I don't give a damn. Ocean Spray does make cranberry sauce. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Now, Kyle, everybody mentioned pumpkin. No, Thanksgiving has to have sweet potatoes. All right, sweet potato pie. Nope, sweet potato casserole. I don't give it. Sweet potato marshmallows. Sweet potatoes are on this list somehow, some way, somehow. I don't care what you say. All right, fight me. All right, Kyle, fight me. Look here, you can go grab your Hulk Hogan on and do what you need to, but fight me, dagnabbit.
And I can't go after you is because Precious would beg for your life. He said, "No fair."
Listen, Bobby got the Kimbe Matumbo finger up here at this point in the show. All right. Fourth and final thing of the Mount Rushmore foods. Okay, listen, I might catch flack for this one, but this is a staple in my life anyway. Pecan pie.
Hey, that beats the hell out of that sweet potato trash. I'm with it.
Don't you do this, Ricky Bobby. I'll mute you. Okay.
I got Danny Thompson mad when he drops the Ricky Bobby.
Stop it, Kyle. All I'm saying is pecan pie is on this list. Pecan pie is literally okay. How can I put this? Pecan pie is underrated. Pecan pie gets no love. All right. Pecan pie is the Steph Curry of Thanksgiving foods. Okay. Steph Curry is beloved. Steph Curry is great and wonderful, but Steph Curry is not an all-time great. Yes, you are Stephen Curry. You are pecan pie. Why? Because Stephen Curry has never won a Finals MVP. That's why he's not on the great list when it comes to being an all-time great point guard. You'll never see him in the top 10 because he doesn't have a Finals MVP, even though he's got multiple championships. Because Kevin Durant got one, Andre Iguodala got the other one. Until Stephen Curry, listen, I didn't say GOAT. We never mentioned GOAT in any of this. I said we talk about maybe the top 10, 15 greatest players of all time. Curry's not on the list, even though he's the greatest shooter of all time. Pecan pie is the same way. Pecan pie is amazing. Pecan pie can be eaten warm. Pecan pie can be eaten cold. You with ice cream, you don't do ice cream. Pecan pie can eat at 3 o'clock in the morning with your turkey sandwich at 3 o'clock in the morning. Pecan pie is number 4 on my list. Bobby, what we got from the comments in the chat tonight?
Turkey, mac and cheese.
So my question mark is, what is pumpkin cake?
It's actually I've sampled it. It's basically like a normal cake, but it's pumpkin flavored. Like, you know, it is what it sounds like. It's not something that happens a lot. I would more kind of associate it with the pumpkin flavor craze that's happened lately with pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin beer or whatever. But it's a thing.
Okay.
Never had pumpkin cake. Hope to have it soon. Now, I'm just glad since it is pumpkin season. I'm glad we haven't gotten the pumpkin pizza yet. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you shut your face, Danny Thompson. Don't give anyone any ideas, man. Come on.
By the way, Kyle, I'm with you. And now all of a sudden we're getting sweet potato French fries. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, French fries.
Hold on. No. We're not doing this. Sweet potato fries are actually good, sir.
Dude, I can't take sweet potato. I'm sorry, man. Like,
listen. If you have sweet potato fries, the one thing you need to have with this, get like a sugary, kind of like a sugary dipping sauce, like a cinnamon sugary dipping sauce, and eat sweet potato fries with that. Guarantee you'll change your opinion on it.
I would do it because you are my fam, but I'm trying to tell you, it's not going to work because I keep tasting and retasting sweet potato because people insist, and I've hated it every time.
I'm with you.
Kyle, sweet potatoes are like the UCF when it comes to things. It gets no respect.
No, that's because it's actually USF. It doesn't deserve the respect.
It's no.
Okay, it's not that bad. It's something that's still, going to exist next year. Sweet potato program is going to go fiscally bankrupt.
No one said anything about sweet potato fries for Thanksgiving. No, we were just talking about sweet potato. Oh, Bob, you're having sweet potato fries for Thanksgiving?
No, I meant in general. Like all of a sudden.
Oh, okay.
Potatoes. All of a sudden, that's like creeping up. You go, French fries. You want regular sweet potato? Get that. No, get off the menu.
No.
Listen, I got to make sure Bobby never has dinner with my children because they adore sweet potato, man. I don't get it.
Bobby, any shout outs for we got here tonight, sir?
I just want to wish you guys happy Thanksgiving. Once again, congrats to Danny and Precious on the engagement.
Yeah.
And no, you don't judge me. Oh, by the way, Danny, you just kind of validated an idea I had. I've been kicking around this idea of doing a show called Fight Me. Just like verbal battles about different topics, one side or the other. And you're like, fight me. I'm like, that's it. That's my show. Fight me. or battle me or something. I'm going to call
it. Listen. If it's NFL MVP, me and Kyle need to be on that show like pronto, fast, in a hurry.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're off 2-1 though. You know, I'm signing with Russell Wilson.
Fight me. That's all I'm saying. Kyle, before we go, any shots before we go?
We mentioned it earlier. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Check out Hilarity by Default this week. We have another Thanksgiving movie, one could argue, in the form of Rocky. The original Rocky movie is going to be our release here on Wednesday, hopefully, according to what Demos tells me. And then check that on the Hilarity by Default YouTube channel. And, of course, tomorrow at 9 o'clock on the UCF One Heartbeat Facebook page or on the 1-0 Show Facebook page. Check out the 1-0 Show, where we preview the UCF Knights' final game against the USF Bulls. Also, don't forget my work on the 3pointconversion.com, the SOTG on Twitter, the SOTG on Instagram, and the Student Game on Facebook. Danny.
First and foremost, big shout outs to the Beyond the Buzzer family for Thanksgiving. I want to wish you guys the happiest and safest Thanksgiving. Like I said, to Kyle, to Bobby, to Jay, to the entire Mentality crew. I want to thank you guys. I'm thankful for you guys, for your hard work and always due diligence to keep me on my game and making me better every single week. Like I said, I'm thankful for you guys. Like I said, Bobby in the studio and Kyle as a co-host. Like I said, it's a beautiful thing to have it. I'm thankful for the thousands of people that have chimed in over the last 16 months the show has been on the air, between radio, television, sharing the show. I'm thankful so much for everybody in this growth of this show and people wanting more content. Like I said, I'm thankful for all the comments. Good, bad, and even Rodney.
The good, the bad, and the Rodney. Love it.
I'm extremely thankful for all of the everybody that stops into the show. Not last but not least, but I'm also thankful for my family for being a part of this entire process. Just letting the process grow. I'm thankful for my little one, who in 3 weeks will be having a Charlie Brown and Snoopy moment when we get to see each other for the first time in 6 months. And thankful for my parents still being, my parents still hanging out and listening to the show. I actually got mom now attempting to watch the show on Mondays. She's still trying to figure out this whole Facebook Live thing, but we're going to get soon enough. And my dad watches the show, like, I think on Thursday or Friday when he wakes up in the morning to go to the gym. And lastly, I am thankful for my new fiance. Yeah, I can actually say fiance now. I'm extremely thankful for her and her putting up with me and supporting the show and supporting the Falcons and supporting my love for the Falcons. My love for the Falcons. Okay, let me go ahead and fix that. Extremely thankful for every person that she made a post earlier today, so I'm gonna make mine now on the show. I'm extremely thankful for every person that has given well wishes, that have sent text messages, that have called, text. I'm sorry I haven't responded to everybody. It's been a lot. It's been a crazy week, so this is my way of saying thank you to everybody and supporting. And we'll disclose more details as things get closer to it. We're still just enjoying this process, and so I'm thankful for everybody involved. Like I said, I'm thankful for my beautiful, beautiful soon-to-be wife, now my fiance. Presh, I know that you are ready for work tomorrow. Unfortunately, you got to work tomorrow, but I am thankful for that, and I'm thankful for you guys as well too. So for myself, Kyle, and everybody watching the show, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy enough turkey, and please don't enjoy the Cowboys and Washington football on Thursday. We'll see you on Monday because, Kyle, guess what? On Monday's show, we'll be 24 hours away from NBA training camp.
Crazy.
For myself, Kyle, Bobby, up in New Jersey, I'm Danny Thompson. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Yeah.